Okay, we've got some more Onryo here, and once again on the farm, and I think this is another Swift. At least a 2 or 3 man. Not sure. Thought for sure he would be at the pallet. Okay, there he is. Get a quick condemn on him. Hit all of them. Okay, time to shift targets. With this killer, you really have to pick and choose who you go after depending on where they are, how vulnerable a position they're in. Can't really go for traditional chases, at least not for long traditional chases, because she's so weak in chase. She has nothing going for her in terms of anti-loop, so teleporting around, getting stacks of condemned on them is definitely the way to go, and a hit and run play style is the best for that. Oh, he used Shoulder the Burden. Okay. Well, if I get one of them condemned, Shoulder the Burden's not really going to matter. And you're giving up. Why? Do you know that Shoulder the Burden won't make a difference against this killer if I get enough condemned stacks? Is that why you're giving up? Behavior really loves coming out with very unhealthy perks for the game. Another Shoulder the Burden. Okay. It's probably one of the most unhealthy perks that they've ever introduced for this game. Not only does it force the killer who can't deal with something like that into an even more aggressive play style, but it actually encourages survivors to give up if they encounter a killer who can actually deal with such a perk. Yeah, I've got Steve condemned, even though he's on his first hook. So I can get him out immediately. If I were to hook him, he would be back on his first hook. But now I can just get rid of him without having to hook him at all. And you can't body block this killer. This is what happens when behavior refuses to think about what perks they release. They just think it's a good idea to give survivors even more of a second chance. And yeah, they refuse to consider the implications of said perks. How did that miss? Okay. So you're going to de-strike me and then give up anyway. I guess he realizes, yeah, Shoulder the Burn's not going to help his team. But, I mean, why release a perk like this? When even if I wasn't playing as this killer, I would have to pretty much tunnel out anyone who used that perk. It's a very unhealthy perk for the game. And it encourages teammates to quit because they know they will be tumbled out. Someone's going to have to pay for using that perk. It's the same thing with map offerings. I don't understand why behavior refuses to just get rid of map offerings, because if you get a killer, since they've made the sacrificial ward offering common, you'll have more killers using that now, and you have one or two teammates who wanted to send the killer to a certain map and they don't get that map. They'll just feel compelled to quit, leaving the rest of their team in the lurch. So I don't understand why behavior still encourages this kind of toxic gameplay in their game. They introduce perks like Shoulder the Burden, which I use, but I only use on teammates who actually start to give up on hook. If I know a teammate is like, for whatever reason, decides to quit on the first stage, I'll go over and use Shoulder the Burden on them so they don't actually get to go next. It's very unhealthy, but it's also often necessary. But then you have things like map offerings that they still, making the sacrificial ward a common add-on isn't good enough. They need to get rid of the offerings altogether, because if you get survivors who want to go to a specific map, and the killer will most likely use a ward now since it's more common, those survivors will just quit. And they'll make the experience miserable for the rest of their team. And I thought behavior wanted to get away from toxic behavior in this game. And it's just, they seem to want to encourage it, honestly. Well, I have no qualms about getting rid of these people who want to send me to maps or who use things like Shoulder the Burden, a completely broken perk. Fortunately, this killer can work around that perk, but not all killers will be able to do that, obviously. One of the main reasons why I play Onryo almost exclusively now is because she can get survivors out early, and it does counter Shoulder the Burden. I'm going to look for the hatch. It'd be easier for me to find the hatch than it will to have me continue to chase him around the map with no chase ability. Okay, there we go. Wow, that was fast. Does he have Wake Up or something? Sole Survivor? It really doesn't matter. It's a good thing I had a television there, but still. That's not going to do anything for you. You're still doomed. Time to die. Those goofy reindeer antlers. Look at those things. All right, and that's how you deal with shoulder the burden, at least with Onryo. Yeah, two of them were running around with that perk.